Welcome to another episode of the Virtual Reality Reconstructionist, the premier podcast for exploring cutting-edge technology in forensics, investigation, and virtual reality. I'm your host, Roger Ryan Ryder, owner of Triple R Investigation.
I took my daughter on one of her birthdays years ago to one of those simulation ranges. And we went through one of those things where somebody would pop out. It's shocking. So I don't want to have a gun in my hand because I'm too willing when they pop out just start shooting because we're video gamified. And I think people outside of this industry have to realize how important training is. I'd see it as the same as flying a jet. You should be in a flight simulator or flying the space shuttle. How many hours do they put in flying in a simulator? They don't get a lot of chances to go fly the space shuttle. They got to get in the simulator and have every scenario thrown at them. It's like anything else. Muscle memory is everything. And it's
Just
cool.
an experience on that virtual status of, guess what, you can go through it. You can screw it up. We can do it over and learn from that situation.
Hey, man, you always want to make your mistakes in class. Not on the street. Yep. No, I love it. I love all of that. And like I said, never having any relation to the public safety industry until I found myself in this business in the 80s and totally seeing a whole different world. I just never saw it, never would have thought about it other than what you saw on TV, right? I remember building the Fire Zone product and that started moving and then instinctively thinking we need a crime zone product. And we're building this thing for Crime Zone. And we had cars in it because you can have cars at a crime. We had everything. And I went to first trade show in Miami. Janice and I went to it in Miami, Florida, probably IACP or something. And I remember this guy coming up and he goes, "This program is great." He goes, if you just had a few more things, this would be great for crash reconstructionists. And I go, "What?" He goes, "Do you know what a crash first of all, do you know there's no such thing as the word reconstructionist? It never shows up when you type it out. You always get an error in word. Pisses me off. 30 some odd years of I hate typing that word. But I'm so used to it now. But I go, crash recon, what is that? He said, "Let me tell you." I think he might have said, "Let me tell you, son, there's a lot more crashes out there than there are homicides." And I go, what an aha moment.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you with all the products over the years, fire, insurance, crash, crime, and a few others, it's really the crash reconstruction side of things and the crash reporting that has the most volume. And the other ones have a lot too. And we see a lot more with the crime stuff now that we have really great tools for blood spatter analysis and bullet trajectory.
Cool.
Of course, they intermingle, right? Obviously, you can have a vehicle homicide and a few others, and they always did intermingle. I just remember those. I love looking back at those days just being new, but knowing CAD and knowing how to simplify it. And I think that's important for the next generation after. Everybody in this industry, just sit down with the people in the industry and find out what they need from you and try to get them there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, you see a lot of things in your software that you've asked that question and obviously listened. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff that y'all created on your own, but I have to say that you're definitely on board with what's needed and what helped. I think that's a big thing that I learned about going from Crash Zone to Fire Zone was that it's a great visual tool. We can't always articulate some of the things that I could do in a 5-second video. Explain something to somebody. And we don't, and I guess the backside is we don't use it for simple things. It's always something dynamic. If you talk to people, if it's a simple crash and you try to give them a bunch of videos and stuff, they like, "I can understand that. Why are you doing that to me?" It's the crazy ones, right? Flip and turn and visibility. They can't crack go, "What?" But you put them in a car to show, look, until this point, you don't even see that car. And then you go, "Oh," and
being able to just calculate speed from skid and distance and work on some of that stuff. Because someone could say, "Okay, I could see how it happened, but why did he lose control here?" That's called critical speed. And we can tell you it could have happened. And all based on how we did it by hand in the past. And Ryan, one thing, and I told everybody I've ever helped with CAD over the years. If they're nervous about getting into it or overwhelmed by it, always focus on what it is you need to focus on. If your primary thing is to just create a report that has these basic elements in it, make that your area of expertise, that 80-20 rule, right? Just focus on what you need, then get granular with it as you get more skills. But I also tell people, and I do this myself, I've designed the house I'm sitting in was laid out and designed in CAD zone, in Crash Zone,
Right.
25 years ago, when it was designed 26 years ago.
Yeah.
Every bit of this, when I moved up here full time to this house, kind of a vacation home, now I live in it. And when my wife and I moved up here 3 years ago, we didn't know where we're going to put stuff. I took the layout, put it in 3D, made it 3D as quickly as I could, and measured our furniture and was able to position it and make sure we had room to walk around, made sure the garage was set up so I could get everything in it I needed. Even when we had an idea of what we wanted to change in a room, remodel, added that so we could walk through it in 3D and see what it would look like, how would it feel, and put a couple of bodies in there. All that stuff I did without getting too heavy in detail, just for spatial relation. And when we moved up, we literally had a map of, yeah, this stuff goes here, that goes here. And I can tell you, it was spot on. Everything fit and felt exactly like we knew it would. And it saved us tons of time. A couple hours of messing around, sharing with the wife, but making sure it was going to look right and be good. And I don't know, I guess I always like to explain stuff away. So I like CAD. So what I was getting at though is I use CAD. I've made greeting cards with CAD. I've made anniversary cards in the CAD program. You get in a pinch, oh shoot, I forgot it's my anniversary. I'll draw one out, make it, put a picture in there, print it out, maps. I think it's a tool you can do so much in, and it doesn't have to be a crime or a crash or whatever. Sometimes just use it. I use it for all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I do stuff in it I probably shouldn't be doing it because it's easier to do it somewhere else.
You're familiar with that. Years ago, we were offered a basement of a retail facility, and they basically said, we don't use it. If you clear it out, it's all yours for training. So as law enforcement, we're like, yeah, we can do this because we can do searches. We can do all kinds of good stuff with it. So after the offer, with a couple of days, assistant chief goes knocking on my door and says, hey, can you go measure this and lay out this? And he had a drawing of what he wanted, a shoot house and all this, and tell me if it'll fit. And guess what I used? I used Crash Zone for that.
Sweet.
And yeah, we were able to, and the same thing, it's like convince city council and everything to sign off on us using it. It's still a liability for training, but make it fit and work with the public and be out there was an interesting concept. But yeah, we used Crash Zone, but it was all measured to scale. So we knew exactly how much space we had and what we could use. It worked out really well.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about this a long time, but when we built our office in Beaverton, Oregon, we moved it from we actually had our original office in our house. We had a big office, an 800 square foot spot above a 3-car garage, 6 people working in it, fully set up. It was awesome, but a little noisy because of no rooms. Mm-hmm. We finally got an office building many years ago, 25 years ago or whatever, and in Beaverton. And it was a weird layout. So Janice and I went in and measured it all out, made a floor plan of it. And we took each it used to be a dentist's office, so it had little like stalls in it. And we made our offices in there. And we already knew the sizes of all our desks and chairs. So we put everything in, each one in the drawing. And when we knew where it was going to go, we put numbers on each, like this is room 2, room 3, room 4. And we put stickers on all the furniture and boxes. We had movers come over in 4 hours. We had everything moved and set up because all they did was they go, oh, this big desk goes into 2, that goes into 3. They knew right where everything went, and it was all done on the CAD diagram. And those are like small wins, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, take a crazy task and make it simple.
It's silly stuff, but like I said, I've done it for landscaping. I can show you full landscaping designs that came to reality. It helps me get better at the program too. When I'm using it, I learn stuff. I go back to the guys and I go, it's crazy that we don't do this in the program, would make it a lot easier. So yeah, it's nuts.
So as we wrap things up, this has been the virtual reality reconstruction. A big thank you to Derik White for joining us today and shared his invaluable insights into the world of forensic technology. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcast platform for more episodes exploring the fascinating world of virtual reality and forensic investigation. Until next time, this is Roger Ryan Ryder signing off with Triple R Investigations. Stay safe and stay curious.